With the new UCS Venator releasing later this year, I thought it'd be a fun idea to take a look at this Acclamator class assault ship from Republic Bricks. So this thing is actually pretty large, and I think it might scale pretty well with the new Venator. Not really sure because I haven't seen it yet. Anyways, let's take a look at some of the details on this thing. On this side of the ship, we have some dark red stripes and then a simplified version of the Republic Navy logo. Because it's so small that we're able to put a lot of detail on it. But on the other side, it's exactly the same because this ship is perfectly symmetrical. Moving up this large red stripe of the ship, we can take a look at the bridge, which is pretty cool for only having a few pieces. I'm very impressed with what they were able to do with less than 20 pieces for this thing. And I really like the usage of this small black piece for the bridge. This part of the ship can come off very easily, so be careful not to knock it off. Speaking of knocking things off, there are a few loose panels on this front of the ship, but these shouldn't be a problem if you're displaying the ship, but it might be a problem if you're playing with it, which I wouldn't really recommend for this set. Around the back we have these 4 large engines and this large fin. We also have this dark gray area, which is all around the ship, but it's more visible back here, and this is so you don't see the interior. Here's a closer look at the fin that sticks out of the back of the ship. This thing is pretty sturdy except for these 2 little pieces at the bottom, which can kind of come loose and fall off a little bit. Kind of the same case with the 2 larger engines, but the smaller ones are pretty sturdy, I'd say. Something I found out wasn't sturdy the hard way was this entire panel. I guess I held it in a weird way, and this hasn't happened in the few weeks I've had this set, and it just completely crumbled, so I'd be very careful with this part of the set. But now that I've got it all fixed, let's take a look at the interior. When you open this thing up, it looks like there's a lot of space, but most of it isn't even usable for figures. But there is this ramp that figures can walk out of, and it's on both sides, and this is what it looks like from the outside. But back to what I was saying about room for figures. There's these 2 chairs right here, but you can't sit anyone in them. And then there's places where 2 clones can stand at this control panel. But besides that, all you can do is really try and shove some figures in there. And speaking of space that isn't usable, you have these 2 beds, but you can't even attach your figures to them. But all of this can be fixed with a few simple upgrades, so I'm going to try and walk you through what I did. For this front section, I only used 2 pieces of the beds, and then you can take your clone trooper and attach his legs to that little platform right there. And it still kind of works as a bed. It doesn't look as good, but it actually works this time, so I think that's better. Then you can use this little snot piece and attach 1 more clone trooper there. He really doesn't have a bed at all, but I think it still works. Now, for the main part of this interior, there was a lot that had to be done, so I'm going to try my best to show you guys everything that I did. The first thing I did was move this computer thing from the middle part of the ship to this back part of the ship, just so there's more room for characters to walk around. The chairs I got for the computer station were from that top area, which weren't being used at all, so I decided to put them there. And then I put some reclined seats, basically, for some pilots. In this little corner right here, I had to remove a weapons rack on both sides so I could fit a gunner, because that's what I wanted to add to this part. But now we have nowhere to put our weapons, so I added these 2 modified plates, and then I threw some weapons in there. And I think it works pretty well as like an overhead compartment on a plane. With all these modifications in place, you can really see how this did wonders for the ship. I really think it looks a lot better on the inside now. Maybe a little cramped, but I think it's better overall. But there's one part of the ship I almost forgot to show you guys, the bottom. One thing I love about custom sets is that there's almost always detail on the bottom, which I think is great, and LEGO needs to do more of that. It may not be as sturdy as it should be, because it's only using 1 ball joint here, but I think it makes the very good defined shape of the bottom of the Acclamator class. Last little issue I ran into with this set is this bottom panel likes to fall off because it's only connected with 2 little studs right there. The last thing on the underside is a better look at those ramps I showed you guys earlier, which I think look really good, even though they can't really fit a minifigure that well. There's also this red stripe going down the middle, which kind of mirrors what happens on the top. Besides that, there's really no other details down here. That's about all I have to say for the set. While I think it looks great, it's definitely more of a display set than a play set. I do see that Republic Bricks was trying to add some playability, but I'm not really sure if it works. If you're a fan of the Acclamator like myself, I'd say you should pick this one up because it will look great on your shelf with some of your other sets, and especially that UCS Venator coming later this year, if that set's any good. I'm making these reviews of custom sets, so if you guys want to see more, please leave a like and subscribe, and tell me what set you want to see me review next. And if you saw any figures you liked in this video, I had a whole video looking at Republic Bricks custom UV printed figures. He's got some great stuff, so go check out that video. Well, that about wraps up this video. I'll see you next time.